You're cold all the time, even when everyone else is comfortable. Your hair is falling out in the shower. You've gained weight, even though you're eating less than you used to. Your brain feels foggy. You forget words mid-sentence. You're constipated. Your skin is dry, and no matter how much you sleep, you still wake up exhausted. You go to your doctor, they run a thyroid test, and they tell you your thyroid is fine, but you know something isn't right. I'm Lynn, and today we're talking about your thyroid, the metabolic powerhouse that often gives up when you've spent years running on empty. Here's what many doctors don't tell you. Your thyroid can be struggling long before it shows up as abnormal on standard lab tests. And when your cortisol is dysregulated, your thyroid doesn't stand a chance. Let's talk about why your thyroid gave up, how to recognize the signs your doctor might be missing, and the specific nutritional support that can wake it back up. So your thyroid is a small butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, but its impact is enormous. It's your body's metabolic control center, the thermostat that determines how fast or slow every cell in your body operates. Your thyroid hormones regulate your energy production, which is how much fuel your cells can make, your body temperature, your heart rate, your digestion and metabolism, your brain function and mood, your hair, skin, and nail growth, your menstrual cycle, and your weight regulation. Essentially, if your thyroid slows down, everything slows down. Now, here's the connection to exhaustion that many doctors completely miss. When your cortisol is dysregulated, which I talked about in last week's video, your thyroid function automatically declines. This is a protective mechanism. Your body is saying, we don't have enough resources. We need to conserve energy. So it turns down your metabolic thermostat. Here's how it happens. First, chronic stress with our caretaker pattern keeps cortisol elevated. High cortisol interferes with the conversion of T4, which is your inactive thyroid hormone. So that conversion of T4 to T3, which is your active thyroid hormone. Your thyroid might be producing hormones, but your body can't use them effectively. Second, elevated cortisol also increases something called reverse T3, which is like putting the brakes on your metabolism. Reverse T3 blocks your thyroid receptors, preventing active T3 from doing its job. Third, when cortisol finally depletes, which is phase 3 from last week's video, your entire endocrine system, including your thyroid, loses the signaling it needs to function properly. Fourth, chronic inflammation from prolonged stress damages thyroid tissue and can trigger autoimmune thyroid conditions like Hashimoto's. So, if you've been dealing with exhaustion for years, and now you're noticing thyroid symptoms, your thyroid didn't randomly fail. It gave up because it's been trying to function in a body under siege. The good news, when you support your thyroid nutritionally and address the root stress patterns, it can offer recovery. So your thyroid function can recover, sometimes significantly. Okay, so How do you know if your thyroid is the problem when your doctor says your labs are normal? Let me explain what's happening with standard thyroid testing. Many doctors only test TSH, that's thyroid stimulating hormone. This is the signal from your pituitary gland telling your thyroid to work harder. So if TSH is elevated, they diagnose hypothyroidism. If it's in the normal range, which is usually 0.5 to 5.0, they tell you everything is fine. But here's what they're missing. TSH doesn't tell you how much T4 your thyroid is actually producing, whether T4 is converting to active T3. If you have elevated reverse T3 blocking your receptors, whether you have thyroid antibodies, that's autoimmune issues, if your cells are actually able to use the thyroid hormone, you can have normal TSH and still have significant thyroid dysfunction. So instead of relying solely on labs, here are the symptoms that tell you your thyroid is struggling. Your energy and metabolism. This is profound fatigue that doesn't improve with rest. Weight gain, especially around the middle, despite eating less. You can't lose weight no matter what you try. Needing to sleep 10 or more hours and still feeling tired. Afternoon crashes that feel like hitting a wall. Your temperature and regulation. You're always cold, especially your hands and feet. You have a low basal body temperature, which is below 97.8 upon waking. You can't get warm even with layers. You have cold intolerance that's gotten worse over time. Your brain and mood. Severe brain fog and difficulty concentrating are one of the signs. Memory problems, forgetting words, names, where you put things. Depression or low mood, especially if antidepressants don't help. Anxiety. Yes, low thyroid can cause anxiety too. Slowed thinking and reaction time. Digestive and physical connections. You may have chronic constipation, bloating and sluggish digestion, dry, flaky skin, especially on your elbows and knees and heels, brittle nails with ridges, hair loss or thinning, including your eyebrows, especially the outer third, a puffy face, especially around the eyes, a hoarse voice, and then the reproductive and hormonal signs. Heavy, irregular, or absent periods, difficulty getting pregnant, low libido, and worsening PMS symptoms. So if you're reading this list and thinking, that's me, that's all me, you're not crazy. Your thyroid is probably struggling, even if your TSH looks fine. The question is, what do you do about it? Your thyroid needs specific raw materials to produce hormones and function properly. Without these nutrients, your thyroid cannot work, no matter how much willpower you have or how many supplements you take. Let me break down the 4 most critical nutrients for thyroid function. Number 1 is iodine. It's the building block. In fact, iodine is the primary building block of thyroid hormones. T4 has 4 iodine molecules. T3 has 3. Without adequate iodine, your thyroid literally cannot make hormones. But here's the tricky part. You need the right amount. Too little causes hypothyroidism. Too much can trigger autoimmune issues or worsen existing Hashimoto's. So some food sources of iodine are sea vegetables, such as nori, dulse, and kelp. But be careful with kelp because it's very high. Wild caught fish and seafood, such as cod, shrimp, or tuna. Eggs in the yolk, yogurt and dairy if you tolerate it, and iodized sea salt. Only a quarter teaspoon provides about 75 micrograms. The recommended intake is 150 to 300 micrograms daily for most people. So, some important notes here. If you have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid, work with a practitioner before supplementing iodine. Start low and go slow. Selenium should always be taken alongside iodine, and more on that next. So, selenium is required for converting T4, your inactive hormone, to T3, which is your active hormone. It also protects your thyroid from oxidative damage and is essential for preventing autoimmune thyroid disease. Without selenium, you can't use the thyroid hormones you're producing. So some food sources of selenium: Brazil nuts, 1 to 3 per day provides your full daily need. Don't overdo it. Wild caught fish, such as tuna, halibut, or sardines, pasture-raised eggs, turkey and chicken, sunflower seeds, and mushrooms, especially cremini and shiitake. The recommended intake is 200 micrograms daily. My favorite protocol: eat 2 Brazil nuts every morning. Simple, effective, whole food. An important note here is selenium is crucial if you're taking iodine. It prevents the oxidative stress that iodine supplementation can cause. Zinc. Zinc is required for converting T4 to T3. Thyroid hormone receptor sensitivity, which is your cells need to hear the thyroid signals, supporting the pituitary gland's TSH production, and immune function, which is important for preventing autoimmune thyroid issues. Low zinc is extremely common in exhausted women because stress depletes zinc rapidly. Some food sources of zinc are oysters, the highest source by far, beef and lamb, especially grass-fed, pumpkin seeds, chickpeas and lentils, cashews and almonds, dark meat chicken, and cacao powder. The recommended intake is 15 to 30 milligrams daily. Some signs you're zinc deficient are white spots on fingernails, loss of taste or smell, slow wound healing, frequent infections, and hair loss. So an important note here is zinc competes with copper for absorption. So long-term high-dose zinc supplementation should be balanced with copper, and food sources of this are ideal. Tyrosine. Tyrosine is an amino acid that combines with iodine to create thyroid hormones. It's literally the protein backbone of T4 and T3. Tyrosine also supports dopamine production for your motivation and mood, norepinephrine production for focus and alertness, and stress hormone production. When you're exhausted and depleted, you're often not getting enough protein, which means not enough tyrosine. Some food sources of tyrosine are animal proteins, such as chicken, turkey, beef, fish, and eggs, spirulina, pumpkin seeds, almonds and sesame seeds, avocados, wild-caught salmon, and the recommended intake is at least 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal, which provides adequate tyrosine. My favorite protocol is start your day with a protein-rich breakfast. So that could be eggs, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie with collagen. This provides tyrosine, supports cortisol rhythm, again from last week's video, and gives your thyroid what it needs. So the important note here is if you're on thyroid medication, take it away from meals high in tyrosine as they can interfere with absorption. So how do you actually put this into practice? Here are simple daily protocols that provide comprehensive thyroid support. So here are some thyroid supportive breakfast protocols. The first option is the egg bowl. 2 to 3 pasture-raised eggs provide iodine, selenium, zinc, and tyrosine. Some sauteed mushrooms provide selenium. Some pumpkin seeds sprinkled on top provide zinc. And a side of berries with 2 crushed up Brazil nuts provide selenium. Option 2 would be the protein smoothie. Put in some collagen or protein powder for your tyrosine. Add in 1 raw Brazil nut blended in for selenium. Pumpkin seed butter for zinc. Spirulina powder for iodine and tyrosine. And some berries and almond milk. Option 3 is the Greek yogurt bowl. So some full-fat Greek yogurt for your iodine and tyrosine, pumpkin seeds for zinc, chopped Brazil nuts for selenium, cacao nibs for zinc and magnesium, and berries. Thyroid supportive lunch and dinner protocols. The foundation for this would be 4 to 6 wild caught fish or pasture-raised poultry. And this is for your iodine, selenium, zinc, and tyrosine. Then you can have a large serving of cooked vegetables, especially cruciferous if well cooked, a drizzle of seaweed flakes or dulse for your iodine, a side of sweet potato or quinoa for selenium and zinc, and make sure to use iodized sea salt to season. So your sample meal could be wild salmon with roasted broccoli and cauliflower, some quinoa, and drizzled with tahini because that has zinc in it, and sprinkled with dulse flakes. So your daily thyroid support checklist is morning, 2 Brazil nuts for selenium. Each meal, 20 to 30 grams of protein for your tyrosine. Daily sea vegetables or iodized salt for your iodine. Snacks could be pumpkin seeds, almonds, or sunflower seeds for zinc. And hydration. So add some Celtic or Himalayan sea salt to water. That has trace minerals, including iodine. So what do you avoid or minimize? Goitrogens, those are thyroid suppressors, especially if they're eaten raw in large amounts. So raw cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, kale, and cabbage, again, if raw and in large amounts, you want to avoid or minimize. Soy products, especially processed soy, and raw cassava. So again, note that cooking these foods significantly reduces goitrogens. So cooked broccoli, sauteed kale, etc., are generally fine and even beneficial. Other thyroid disruptors are fluoride in the water, so use filtered water, bromide in baked goods, so choose organic when possible, excessive caffeine without food, because this stresses your adrenals and then that impacts your thyroid. Chronic undereating, this signals famine and then your thyroid slows down. So here's what I need you to understand. Nutritional support for your thyroid is foundational and powerful, but it's not magic and it's not instant. So a realistic timeline, if you start this, is week 1 to 2, you might notice slightly improved energy, less brain fog, and better digestion. Weeks 4 through 6, your temperature regulation may improve, your hair loss might slow down, and your mood may lift. Weeks 8 through 12, more significant improvements in weight, energy, and mental clarity. So your thyroid tissue needs time to heal and regenerate. Thyroid hormones have a long half-life, so changes happen gradually. When nutritional support isn't enough, if you've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, nutritional support should complement, not replace, appropriate medical treatment. You need professional help if your TSH is significantly elevated, such as over and above 4.5 to 5. You have thyroid antibodies, such as in Hashimoto's. You're experiencing severe symptoms that impact daily function. You've tried nutritional support for 3 or more months with no improvement, and you have other autoimmune conditions. Some people genuinely need thyroid medication, and that's okay. The goal is optimal function, not avoiding medication at all costs. But even if you need medication, these nutritional foundations will help your medication work better and support overall thyroid health. So, also important, if you have Hashimoto's, an autoimmune thyroid, there are additional considerations around gut health, gluten sensitivity, immune modulation, and more. That's beyond the scope of this video, but it's worth working with someone who specializes in autoimmune conditions. Notice how everything we're covering builds on itself. In week 1, you learned about the hormone exhaustion cascade and how depletion affects multiple systems. Week 2, we addressed cortisol, because if cortisol is dysregulated, your thyroid cannot function properly. Week 3, today, we're supporting your thyroid with the specific nutrients it needs. And next week, we'll talk about progesterone, your calming hormone that gets depleted when cortisol and thyroid are struggling. These symptoms are interconnected. You can't just fix one piece. You have to support the entire foundation. But when you do, when you address cortisol and thyroid and the other pieces we'll cover, your body has what it needs to restore real sustainable energy. This isn't about biohacking or shortcuts. This is about giving your body the fundamental building blocks it's been missing. Here's your homework for this week. 1, symptom assessment. Go through the thyroid symptom checklist from this video and note which ones you're experiencing. This gives you a baseline. 2, implement the thyroid support protocol. Choose one of the breakfast options and one lunch or dinner option and rotate through them this week. At minimum, 2 Brazil nuts daily, plus protein at every meal, plus iodized salt. 3, track your changes. Notice your energy levels, your body temperature, your brain fog, digestion, mood. Keep it simple, just a few notes each day. If you haven't already, take the Energy Alchemy quiz. The link is in the description to understand your overall exhaustion pattern, because thyroid support looks significantly different for each pattern. And if your symptoms are severe or you suspect significant thyroid dysfunction, please get comprehensive testing. TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, TPO antibodies, and thyroglobulin antibodies. Don't accept your TSH as normal as the complete picture. You deserve to understand what's actually happening in your body. Next week, we're diving into progesterone, the calming, restorative hormone that's often completely depleted in exhausted women. You'll learn why you feel anxious, even when cortisol is low, why you can't sleep even though you're exhausted, and how to support progesterone naturally. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm Lynn, and I'm here to help you reclaim the life force you've poured into everyone else. If this was helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with another woman who's been told her fatigue is normal or just hormones. It's not normal. It's thyroid dysfunction, and it's addressable. Drop a comment and let me know which thyroid symptom resonates most with you. I read every comment and I'm here to support you. See you next week.